Good afternoon, members. Here I am back again with Saturday Live. And today I have a very special person, Mital Salia, who's a game therapist. Her son is 15 years old, and I think my oldest and he met before we met as parents. In fact, I got to meet her just last year during LSUC, which was held in Sardar Sheher, and I got to interact with her and chat with her, and it was such a joyful experience. And she has so many stories to share. She has so much to give and help other homeschoolers, unschoolers who have started this journey. So I'm here welcoming her on this platform. Mittal, a huge welcome to you. And
Thank you so much.
could you start by sharing a little about yourself? What do you do? And then we could move on to your unschooling journey. Yeah.
Sure, sure. So, hi everyone. Good to be here on the show. I heartily thank Sharmila for inviting me. And just one correction, Rushil is almost 18 now, and we are
Oh,
still
wow.
on. So, talking about me, I'm an educationist and I've dedicated my entire career life into the education sector. I've worked with all the top corporate educational companies in the back office and have done teacher training. So, I have been into the system, the formal education system, for almost 15, 16 years now. And having traveled multiple schools all over India, I think I could see the uh, both the sides of the entire education system, and that's where I took this decision of unschooling. And talking about my current work, I'm a game therapist. So what I have been doing since last 6 years is I've been running game classes or games annual programs for children. And the one and only focus on what I do is building the life skills for children. And often I see some life skills missing in the school and the formal education. So that is where we try to fill the gap through games, keeping it all fun.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yes.
and games is such an important aspect of our life. In fact, I was just watching your TEDx short. What I said, let me just refresh my knowledge also about what all you do. And for me, it was a revelation that in the olden days, it was the adults who played board games and not the
Absolutely.
children. And I
Absolutely.
was like, oh wow. And right now, all board games and all are generally played by children. In fact, even children don't play so many board games these
Correct.
days.
Correct.
uh, so the work that Mittal does in bringing games and board games and all other kinds of games back into the lives of people, families, and I remember during my childhood we would play carom and we would play a trade. In those days it was called trade, the monopoly
The
that is there
business
now.
side. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, and we would play Ludo, and our vacations would be just about playing games, which has somewhere gone missing these days.
True.
So,
True.
yeah, so
Mobile
great
phones
luck.
have replaced it at some, at a great level, rather.
Yeah, yeah, mobile phones have replaced. So, Mittal, moving on to your unschooling journey, when did you all start unschooling, and what inspired you to unschool?
Okay. So we started when Rushil was about to complete eighth standard. He was like completing 13 years or of age. And when he was entering the eighth standard, so in seventh, we started visiting a few hostels. And I always felt that, by going to school, I'm not seeing him blooming. I didn't see him very confident. And Rushil has been a shy child. So somewhere I feel, the school is not a place for every kind of personality. And I didn't see him becoming bright, but I saw him rather become less confident, becoming more timid. So then I said, that when he was in seventh, I told him, you either go to a hostel or don't go to school. And we went and saw a few hostels, and Rushil was like, no, I don't want to go to any hostel. So I didn't take it very seriously that year. Again, the whole year passed by, and the next year again that same situation came where you had to take admission for the coming year. And I was again like, either go to a hostel, stay away from us, so you build those life skills where you are independent and you are learning on your own. But he didn't agree, and I said, then you don't go to school. And he again thought I'm joking. But it was for me like just a 2 day, rather a 1 hour decision, when I and my husband attended some school meeting, and he was like, why our parents so scared of taking risk and all. And he's
Mm.
like, if it is a risk, it's a 1 year risk. If it's a gain, it's a lifetime gain. And I'm like, yeah, right. Then why are we not taking that risk? So it was that quick decision when he was in about to end the eighth standard, that let's unschool.
Wow,
And
that
yeah, that's how we began.
a quick decision where Mittal and her husband realized that they should take risks and they should do what their heart says. So
Yeah.
that's a wonderful beginning. But tell me something, that when you began, you all took this decision, and then how did it feel after a few days? Was it like, oh my God, what have we entered into, or were you all fine about it? Or how was it?
Yeah, so it was all mixed. When we took the decision, we did not have any plan in hand. I was doing my diploma in experiential education. I think that is what one more factor that ignited this whole thought of providing experiential learning to my son. And as soon as we started, or we took the decision, first of all, my first hurdle was Rushil. He was not ready to drop school. So we did a 10-day discussion, and I was like, you just give me one thing that you can take away from school that helps you in your real life, in your practical life, not for your examination, but where you can apply the school knowledge in your daily life. And he could not figure out anything. His only concern was meeting friends. So that was the first hurdle. I said, okay, you go and meet your friends every single day after school, but you will not go to school, you can meet them after school. So that was the first thing. Then of course it was a big shock to the family, my parents, my in-laws, everyone. They're like, everyone had their own concerns. My mother had a lot of fear. My in-laws even had the fear that who will give a girl to him if he doesn't get educated. And all such things happen. But one thing that we knew was, me being a career counselor also for many years, I had started talking to Rushil since last the previous 2 years of what he enjoys, what he doesn't, and I knew he's an outdoor person. So we started talking, okay, if we don't go to school, he was like, what will we do? And I said, okay, we'll go visit farmers, we'll go visit some villages, we'll go visit some local people, we'll do nothing. So with no plan, we began. But in that vacation, I started searching for people who can give him internship. And one thing that was very obvious was Rushil enjoyed, loved being with animals. And from all the animals, we even came to the detailing that which animal would he like to work with most. And he said, I liked reptiles. So I started visiting multiple reptile parks, this, that, and I found somebody. So even around that time when we began the journey, for me and my husband, it was not too much of a concern. But anywhere where we say that, okay, we are unschooling, and people whom we highly look up to, even such people sometimes would say, are you mad? Taking such a decision, what will he do? How can you keep him away? This, that. So there was always a battle in our mind that people whom we have really looked up to, even such people are like, we've taken a wrong decision. So there was always this question when we come back, we would sit and discuss, are we doing something wrong? What if things get worse and all that? But I think I and my husband have remained firm throughout. Like we would always do a, okay, what worst could happen and what best could happen, and we stuck to this decision, and we've always been happy about this whole journey. You're not audible, Sharmila. Your mic is
I
on.
was on
Oh,
mute.
yeah.
No, no, no. I muted because there was some background noise.
Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. Okay. So, a question that comes to my mind at this stage is Rushil was in school. Y'all knew that y'all felt that he wasn't really confident and he wasn't growing much at school. However, Rushil was very much in for it because he had his friends and his or maybe he just simply liked going there to be with
Yes.
and he had something to do. So uh, like, what is it that got you all to tell Rushil, that no, schooling is, we want you to be out of school and this is going to be best for you. So, could you elaborate a little more? Because many parents often have this question, like, what if my son tomorrow wants to go back to school, or what do we do? And the tussle between the mom and the child, or the parent and the child, is there. So,
Right. Right. So, as we started the discussions with him, obviously one thing was, which I just wanted him to be able to peep into is what is he learning really, which he couldn't figure out. The other thing was he was entering the ninth grade. And looking at being an educationist, being a teacher for so many years, and being connected to so many parents, I have seen this trend that the moment the kids enter the ninth and 10th grade, it becomes like the most stressful period of their life where half of the day they are in school. The moment they come back, they have to go to their tutorials or classes, and at night they are like exhausted because they have a lot of homework to complete. So the quality of life in ninth and 10th grade is so horrible, or maybe ninth and 11th, 12th. So this was one thing that we were discussing on, that okay, ninth and 10th grade, anyways, you have to study in the tutorial. Then why go to school? If you think you can join some classes and you can attend the ninth and 10th grade outside, and during the school hours you can do whatever you feel like. So when it began, that was the first thing. Also, being a psychologist, my major concern was that, the quality of life or the stress that builds up on children with so many hours into the study. And if we
hmm,
really look deep, the kids are not really learning all that time. They are physically present in the school and the classroom, but it is not so many hours of thinking or knowledge gaining that's happening with most of the kids. There are some children who enjoy studies, but majority do not, or a lot of them do not. Now,
hmm,
this was a concern that, uh, you know, putting so many hours only studying could spoil your whole personality in
hmm,
various ways. Plus, we have always been into that, uh, habits. Or I never made studies very important for Rushil right from the beginning. So even in the initial days, it was that it didn't matter to me how much marks he is getting or what is happening. And these all things for me were important, that it won't matter, the marks will not matter except for the admission. And
hmm,
one more thing that I always felt as an educationist, or because I've worked into content development and teacher training, I felt doing a 10th standard or doing any grade of the school is possible in just 3 months. You don't need to waste that whole year studying those things. And we made that happen. Entire ninth standard, Rushil took a complete break, no study at all. We were not even homeschooling; it was complete unschooling. And in the 10th grade, also we were moving all around. We just filled up the NIOS form, and in January I fixed up a tuition teacher for him. Science and maths was something he was doing across the year with a lot of gaps and breaks. But the other subjects, he opened the books in January and he gave the exams in April. And he still scored 74 percentage. So for me, it was just to show that, and that also without studying. He spent a lot of time in his guitar and everything. So for me, it was something where I wanted to even show to parents that it's not necessary to put so much pressure on children for the whole of 12 months, where a studies or that whole portion can easily be completed in 3 months or
Right.
4 months. And instead,
Right.
that child could get so many other activities to develop his personality, to become more confident, to face the world outside, which they are otherwise missing in the 9th to 12th grade. So
Mm,
that was another argument or another discussion
mm,
point of discussion that was happening. And the third point of discussion for us was being a psychologist, I again started observing Rushil. He was getting very bossy over the younger children, and
mm,
he wouldn't mix up too much with the older children. Now, this for many parents is like, wow, my son is becoming so smart that he can boss over people. But being a psychologist, you observe that this is his went out, that he's not able to
mm.
confidently face other people. So he's putting his power on the people who are having lesser
Younger.
power than him.
Yeah.
And that is
Uh,
one major observation I did during his school days, that he's losing confidence in himself. He's losing his reflective ability. So I felt pulling him out of school was very important. For us, it was not a permanent decision. We thought if things don't work, we can always put him back in the school. And none of the educational institutes can deny admission. So all that research I had done, and I said if things get worse, and if we are doing NIOS, what admissions he can get. So I talked to a few professors in the college, all that we worked out. And we realized that even if he does a private 10 standard, nothing goes wrong. Everything will fall in place if he decides to go to college, or if he decides to go back to school also, everything is a possibility. So that is why we took that decision as a temporary decision. But I think it just took
mm.
him 15 days, and Rushil was super happy for having taken the decision after that.
Okay. So wow. So when you all began unschooling or homeschooling or opted out of school, so what was his routine like? Did you all create a plan or you all just let Rushil be? How was it?
Okay. We were fortunate that Rushil got an internship immediately, and we sent him to Bangalore in that year, June itself. And
Okay.
so because he opted, and we met this person from Bangalore with whom he was interning, it was a place for animals. He was building up a petting zoo. It was in the very initial baby stage, where even the name was not there. Currently, it's called Prani the Pet Sanctuary. But at that time, there was no name, and it was just being built up. And Rushil was clear that, okay, I enjoy being with animals. But right from day one, there was no schedule, there was no compulsion, there was nothing like, okay, you have to be there for this whole year or anything. And I stayed with him for 4 days. I felt that place safe. I kept him and I came back to Mumbai. And every single day, I only had two questions for him. Are you enjoying? Are you happy? Or do you want to
Mhm.
come back? That
Mhm.
was my only question for him. And every
Uh,
single day he said, I am happy, I don't want to come back right now. So only when our Jain festival was happening in August, that's when I told him, now please come back for a few days. So he stayed continuously for 2 months. And he was doing all the work there with the animals. He was doing all the practical learning. He got exposure to snakes as well as domestic animals, and he took care of them. He was doing all the even the labor work as well as the learning without any formal school. So that is how its schedule was when he is on the internship. But I also would like to point this thing out to many parents who have the concern or who are already homeschooling. When he is home, being a teenager, phone has definitely been a big hindrance and been a concern for me very, very often, because whenever he's home and we do not have a schedule, or if I'm busy with my work, Rushil has been on phone for 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours continuously, and he had already entered 14 years of age by then. So Instagram or social media also had started taking over, and PUBG was naturally there, and many such games. So the days he was home, he has been a lot on the phone. So that definitely is a negative side, but and it has been a concern for we as parents very, very often. It has been bothering. It has led to a lot of arguments because It's not every time that I can keep quiet and I say, okay, let him play. We are unschooling him. I do get worried, and we have got into arguments very often. At times, I've said these words to him, which I ideally shouldn't be. That I didn't start unschooling you for your mobile phone. Even these arguments have happened. So there have been no routines when he's home, and there have been
Mm,
no compulsions when he's home. And this has been a journey for us also as unschooler parents, that we have really learned along the way to deal with all
mm,
these issues. But yes,
mm.
these issues also happen.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, in fact, I remember when my children started unschooling, all they wanted was their PlayStation and they didn't have personal mobiles with themselves. Now each one has their own. The younger has his laptop, the older assembled his own PC to play games.
Okay.
It's very unique, very different because they are not on social media, but they are gaming. They are on Discord and on Discord. They interact with all their friends. They have a group
Okay.
and they play together and they can play at times for the whole day too. And at
Right.
times, yes, it is concerning. However, somewhere deep down, I realized and I felt that, trust in your child. When they get another alternative or they find something else that's more interesting, they will immediately jump to that. And they
Yes,
have.
absolutely. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So that was how I kind of helped myself deal with this whole issue of gadgets. And then I read a lot. I spoke to other unschooling families, and that's when I realized that I was getting worried for or no reason, and I have to see what it is doing to me than to, and
To
how it is
them.
impacting the child. So yes,
Yes.
but
And
yes, these concerns are there.
I agree with this, Sharmila, that when we start unschooling kids, it's
Mm,
not only the kids that are going through a journey. It is we as parents also who
mm,
have to make these changes, who have to accept a lot of things, or who are kind of developing in the process, who are changing their thought process or their entire journey. So it's the whole family and not
mm.
the child alone.
That's true. And there is so much that we as parents have to unlearn, especially,
Absolutely,
things.
absolutely.
Yes. So could you share, since we are talking about parents and unlearning, could you share, say, about two things that were very much part of you and they changed in you as a person after you started unschooling?
Two things are okay.
Yeah.
I really need to think. So, as we started unschooling, I wouldn't say I was very very open, and I wasn't very firm about certain things. Me on a personal note, because probably unschooling for me was a very long term dream, and I started meeting a lot of people. I started attending a lot of conferences, and I started meeting a lot of families. We started going and visiting people. So one major thing that I can say has is changing. I will not say has completely changed, but it's something I'm still dealing with. Is that whole notion of when I see my son doing nothing and we say it's a waste of time. That
Mm,
is something I've been dealing with, and trust me, when I sit calm and when I think over these things, even when the child is not doing anything, there's a lot of things happening inside them. So that is something I am still learning to deal with myself, and I keep trying to change on those aspects. That
mm,
because when I think deeper and when I'm seeing it, um, if we take an average of the whole year, there has been a lot more learning and transformation in Rushil than just looking at those things which are happening in front of our eyes, that he's playing all the time and he's wasting his time. So this one
mm,
thought process and the other thought process, we both as parents, that has completely changed over the years. Is when we started unschooling, We always have these things, we get a lot of attention when people know we are unschooling. People start asking you, and we end up sharing a lot of success stories about the child. So we start getting fame to some level. At the same time, it starts building up expectation in us that because my son is doing something extraordinary, he will grow into an extraordinary career, or he will build up
Mm,
something, he'll make a very nice career, and he'll take this up and he'll take that up. That is one thought process which has changed for us completely. So when parents dream and they are educating the children, it is that what career he will make, how much money he will make, and which stream he will take up, so that how much money he will make has changed into how happy can he live.
mm,
And it doesn't matter. So the whole parameters and the definition of success for us has changed. The success is not dependent on how good a job, how good a career he's making, but the success now for us depends on how happy he's living a life. So we have changed that thought process, and for us now it is like, even if he is living in a village and he's having a small little farm and he's having a small little forest to attend to, and he's happy with that, and he's making his living or he's making his money to meet all his needs, and he doesn't make a big job or a big name, it just doesn't matter. So the whole parameter of success has changed from the so called money or the career to how happy and how
mm.
satisfied or how simple can we live a life. That is a huge change for sure.
Yeah, yes. I can see myself also moving towards that, because initially my biggest worry used to be, okay, how are they going to earn their money and how are they going to be successful? And then I started questioning myself, what is success and what is money and how much money is enough, and then
Right.
it kind of changes a whole lot of things, and that's
Absolutely.
how I'm still moving towards that path, but yes, I'm more comfortable than what I was, say, 2 years ago or a year ago too. So, oh,
True, true.
great. I mean, such amazing pearls of wisdom coming through, Mittal. Well, shortly we are going to open the forum for our viewers to put up their comments or ask their questions. So I request all our viewers to start putting down your questions. Meanwhile, I will ask my next question. So, Mittal, what does Rushil do now? I completely goofed up. I kept feeling he's the same age as Aditya, but I now realize that yes, oh, he was older then, and the time has passed.
Yes,
So
yes.
yes, he's 18 now. So what does he do?
Currently, I wouldn't say he's doing anything specific. He's home. During since last year, he has moved into organic farming. He's been
Mhm,
meeting different farmers and he's been living with them as well. His animal thing is definitely his passion, but we visited a lot of people, and making a career in India in animals is still very dicey. So, and it was very first year when we had not even found out what career options are available. He told me, Mummy, snakes is going to be my lifetime love, but not my career. So he was
mhm,
very clear with it, only because he experienced living with the snakes and handling and studying about them. And he said, I'll always remain passionate, but not my career. Then he said, maybe I want to try out being a naturalist. So throughout, he keeps telling, okay, I want to try this thing. And we also tell him, you have time. You try all possible things and say, okay, you're enjoying this, you're not enjoying this. And then suddenly one day agriculture occurred in our mind that would you be interested in going? So he said, yeah, I don't mind exploring that. So from last year, he's been visiting farmers, he's been living and doing organic farming with those people. Even during the lockdown, for 1.5 months, he lived in Kutch with a dragon fruit organic plantation. He was going to pick up learning the marketing and all of that. We are also exploring different courses in Israel and India. There are these short term practical courses which don't earn you any degrees, but they are the practical courses to understand agriculture. And the more and more people we are meeting who are successful in agriculture, everyone is saying degree will not matter, experience will matter. So
Hmm.
this is one thing. Of late, he has got suddenly got an interest in share market also, which is his father's profession. So since last 1 week, he's been going to Parag's office.
Okay.
Besides that, he's also preparing for giving the 12th standard privately. So he just gets the certificate. But that's still, not a priority. But I would like to mention this one thing that happened last week when he started going to his father's office. Uh, so being in the share market, he started understanding how the markets are working and how the how people invest and what overall is the market growth, not necessarily the stock, but how different industries operate. And recently there was an announcement that all the people who are producing mineral water need to have a minimum amount of potassium or magnesium or the minerals to be present in the
Hmm.
water. When he
Hmm.
read this news, he goes to his father and he tells him that Papa, who are the companies who are producing these minerals? Their
Hmm.
company stakes are likely to go up. Now this is the thought process that starts happening. And for me, I always tell him whether or not you want to make career, take a dip in everything, because you never
Hmm.
know how your mind starts opening up. And this
Yeah.
is, of course, been into a lot of board games which are highly strategic and analytic in nature. But yes, with these board games, I think I see his mind and his thought process being able to analyze a situation and see that, okay, Papa, look into these companies. So this is something. So his schedule is not fixed even today at the age of 18. And guitar is something which he plays every day.
Hmm.
Wherever or whatever he may have done, however lazy he may have been, he's self-learning guitar for last 3 or 4 years, which is his
Wow.
passion.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he is so amazing. He just by living his passions and following his interest, Rushil has explored into so many areas, right from reptiles to agriculture to guitar. And just before we came live, I saw a tiny little squirrel with Mital, and Rushil had it in his hands. So so their life is complete with a lot of excitement and things happening all the time. So,
Yes.
Mital, can you tell us a little about this little squirrel? I think the audience would love to hear about it.
Yes, sure. So, throughout the lockdown, wherever in our friend circle or in our area there have been any animals around, Rushil by default gets a call that we have a pigeon who's hanging on the thread or something, or we have a baby, squirrels were there, baby kittens. All these rescue calls have been coming, and he goes treats them. I remember in the beginning, just in May or something, the extreme lockdown, there was a pigeon hanging and it had a lot of these kite threads entangled in his feather. It took him 1 hour to open them. The same way in June, what happened in one of the buildings around us, somebody started getting a smell from their AC duct. So they opened it for cleaning and they realized that a squirrel is cut into three pieces and has left four tiny babies. They must have started the AC after long. So in the fan, the mother expired, and there were these very tiny, just like 1 day old, which had not even opened their eyes, four little squirrel babies, and we knew that if we do not adopt them, they will not survive. So immediately he brought those four at home, and for 2 days we took care of all the four of them, and later we were asking people who can adopt the squirrels. So two were adopted by another person, and we kept the other two. The one baby died within 7 days due to some breathing issue, and we showed to the doctor. But this one is now 6 months old, and it's been a journey for us. It has become like a family member. But at the same time, we are trying our best to release it also, We have not put it into any cage now. Even at the night time, she sleeps where she wants in the whole house. So we are treating it like an animal, but yes, we are trying our best how we can release her, which seems a little difficult because she's been with humans right from her day one of life.
Yeah.
But yes, for
Wow.
me also it has been a transformative journey because I'm not an animals person. Being with Rushil, I think I'm getting quite used to, and I'm understanding that whole world.
Lovely, lovely. So we'll just take a question that has come up. I'm going to put it on your screen. I'm a parent of a child with minor learning challenges, and my struggle with school is unending. I feel he'll be a better learner if we can teach him practically, and then it continues. However, not able to think from where to start unschooling him, which comes as the third part. So,
Okay.
Mital,
What is the age the parent has mentioned?
no, the parent hasn't mentioned the age.
Okay.
So, uh, if the parent is viewing this session right now, please do type in the age of the child so that Mittal can give a more appropriate, age appropriate answer. So,
Yeah.
okay, so he is 10.
Okay. Okay. So, as a psychologist, also, I always say these things that observe your child. Observe your child for happiness more than anything else. And beginning a homeschooling journey has to be like a family process. You will find a lot of hindrances, a lot of things will happen. And I do not say that homeschooling is the solution for every single family. There might be some families where probably homeschooling may not work as effectively as probably some other families. So you will have to observe the exposure and the things around you, how you are able to give more exposure to the child. But definitely at the age of 10 to 12 or 13, be on the lookout for uh, the confidence of the child. And if the child is not enjoying school, I think somewhere or the other it is because of the expectations that we set for the kids. Giving focus on the marks, not just marks, how the child has gone, like, have you come first in a race? Have you done this? Or what is that other child doing? Why haven't you been able to do these things? So for that age, it is even for the child, it is a question that what am I good at? What am I not good at? They are also exploring, they are also understanding. And you can begin unschooling along with school also if you want to begin with. Slowly, you have to check, if you can full time unschool a child. But unschooling with a school on simply means that we are not focusing on the marks, on the tuitions, on any other thing. It's all about uh, allowing a child to take up his own decisions, to take up things on his own, to become more independent. So, allowing them to make mistakes, allowing them to take their own decisions, allowing them to decide whether or not they want to study, and it's okay if is the child okay with failing or getting very low marks. You will at times find that the child is okay that I'm getting 50 and 60 marks, but I'm spending more time and more productive time into some other activity or some other life skill. So even when you're working on all these aspects and the child is still going to school, it should not matter much. But if the child is going to school, getting lower marks or not being able to put in that effort and being teased by other kids, and at the same time the parents are feeling low about it, then it can become a big, big matter. It can become a big concern. So this is where I think we as parents need to shift our expectations. And trust me, getting 80 and 90 marks in fourth and fifth standard or seventh standard just doesn't matter. Today, being an educationist, I don't remember ever in my life people asking me, Mithil, how much you scored in your 10th standard or your 12th standard also. So the first 9 years or the ninth, till the ninth standard, it won't matter at all what marks they are getting. Look at what learning and what happiness or what skills they are developing.
True, true. And just to add, that there could be so many multiple reasons, as to why your child is, as to why you feel your child is not learning, or the teachers feel the child is not learning. In, and and you never know, there actually is a lot of things happening inside. Maybe he just isn't able to express in the way a teacher wants him to express, and which is why the it might seem that he doesn't know things. So there, I think observation, as Mittal is saying, is very important. And you will be super surprised, because I have been a teacher too, like Mittal, and most of the times I would see that the children aren't able to express in the way I expect them to as a teacher.
Yes,
And which is why we label them as they don't know, but they actually know a lot of things. So be
yes,
open, and unschooling is definitely one way. Explore into it before you decide completely that this is what you want to do.
true.
Okay.
And also, do not apply a yardstick to learning. This is what
Yes.
schools do. They apply a yardstick that if you pass the exams, you are learning.
Mm,
That's not
yeah.
true. Learning is happening each and every moment inside all of us. So there is no yardstick that says, okay, this child has learned more and this child has learned less, because the yardsticks are very specific and we do not know in which direction the child is actually learning.
Yeah, that's so true. And okay, so there's one more question which I'm going to put up now. Any particular structure of academics you follow? Is it time bound, one class per year, or is it completely freehand? How do you decide whether your lad is ready for examination of a particular grade?
Okay, there is absolutely no academic structure that I have followed. We thought he will give 10th standard a year earlier than his friends, but my son said he's not prepared. So we didn't force him. Then, when all his friends, because he's been in touch with all his school friends, when all his friends were giving 10th standard, he also wanted to give. And we were like, okay, this year you give. Now, again, for 12th grade, we have asked him, do you want to give it this year or you want to push it to next year? And throughout the last year, there has been no structure. Throughout this year, first 6 months, there has been nothing. Now, when the forms are out, we are deciding, you do you want to give the exam? So, without any structure, it's just that, and it's not me who decides. Most of the times, I have made my son take that decision. There's never been a force. Rather, it's always a mutual decision. We ask him, do you want to? If he says no, there's no force.
Yeah. So usually in when you're unschooling, the children decide their own schedule. The children decide what they want to do, if they want to give the exams, when they want to give the exams, how they want to give the exams, and
Yeah,
parent just becomes a facilitator. So parent will just facilitate whatever the child wants to do, probably give some advice or some suggestions, but not expect the child to follow those that advice or suggestions and
true.
so. So yeah, okay. So okay, there is another question which says, so exams are through open schooling. Yeah, you're doing NIOS.
Yes, for 12th, I think he is planning HSC, which is the state board. But yeah, it just doesn't matter because for every college, whichever, whether it's open schooling or you've gone for a private 10th or 12th standard, that doesn't matter for the admissions anywhere.
Right. Right. So when you say it doesn't matter for admissions anywhere, is it that, are they at par with all the other children who give ICSC or
Yes.
IGCSC or CBSC? Okay.
Yes,
And
for the admission, the percentage is considered at par, whether it's open schooling or it's an international board, everyone is considered at par by the
okay.
government. Yeah.
So I think there is only an exception with admissions to medical school, right? Apart from that,
Yes.
uh,
Yes, for 12th grade, though the government has this guideline that even in a medical school you should be taking, but Still, there are colleges which do not easily take an unschooled child. But these matters are still being, I mean, off and on the news keep changing that now they will take, or again, there's like
Mm.
some conflict, but only in the medical domain, yes.
Okay, okay. Yeah. So, yes, there is also, I think, a PIL file to ensure that even homeschooled and unschooled children do get admissions in medical school if they ever choose that path. Many
Yes.
unschoolers, homeschoolers also take up alternate healing practices as a profession, where you do not actually require your board exams, or even if you require your board exams, it's not such a hard and fast rule that you have to have these qualifications and all that. And they do
Correct.
extremely well. So, okay, so now I'm waiting for the next question. It's not yet here. Until then, maybe we could, you can share some light moments of your unschooling journey, because you've shared, that you would love to
Sure.
share unschooling stories. So share something about.
And I'll share some of his success stories as well as, the role that we as parents need to play. So if we see, major of the time he must have done time pass, but when he's lived with 300 animals. Uh, Today, if there is a BSc zoologist and Rushil both standing at the same place handling an animal, that person may probably have a lot of scientific understanding about a species, but Rushil has a lot of practical knowledge in handling, in taking care with regards to the food, schedule, at times even a part of medication, not everything. But yes, he has a very good understanding, even if an animal is sick, understanding the behavior of being able to check the entire animal for any internal injuries, all this awareness he has. He also completed his different levels of scuba diving. So he's done an open, advanced level in open water scuba diving. He was looking at doing wave surfing. He has filled his form for the Mountaineering Institute about 2 years back, where there's a 3 year waiting period. So all the outdoor things that he wants to do, he keeps spending time into all that. At the age of 15, so at 14, he has started traveling all over India all alone.
Mhm.
I don't think we've ever gone and dropped him even at the airport or at the station, railway station, or at the bus stand. He manages everything right from the home to that place and back. At 15, he did a backpacking tour where in the morning he would tell me, Mom, today we are reaching this destination and we have arranged the stay or we have not got a stay anywhere. So they have taken lift and traveled. He and one more friend who was 19 at that time and Rushil was 15. He would manage the stay and he would say, we've arranged for stay. We are staying at somebody's house. We are doing this. We are doing that. Now, as parents, if I would be like, who are you going with? Why are you going? No, you can't go alone. You can't do this. Then that self directed learning would never have happened. So we
Mhm.
as parents also have been very open and we have allowed him take multiple risks or even entering a domain like reptiles or learning about snakes. This is something which was a concern for everyone in the family. That first of all you're searching for somebody on Facebook and allowing a 14-year-old to go and stay 1,000 kilometers away from your house. And that also you found nothing in the world but snakes. So for us, it has been always like, whatever is there for him, his destiny, that is likely to happen anywhere, whether he's with us or away. All we have to do is, as parents, ensure a level of protection, but at the same time, we have to allow the child to bloom on his own. We can be spectators, we can be looking into what is happening in his life, we can be asking him whether he's happy or not and checking on his body language and understanding if he has any problems. But we cannot be guiding him for every small little thing that he wants to do. So you have to let the child be and make mistakes. He has made plenty of mistakes. Like when he was traveling, he has got stuck up multiple times. Once his flight landed to Goa instead of Mumbai due to heavy rains. So at that night, taking a decision of booking another ticket and all these things we have allowed him to do. So this is where I think the parents' role is important. That you have to uh, allow the child to take his own risk, provided you are taking care of his core safety.
Yeah. Amazing. And this also has been a learning for me. So even Aditya started traveling and doing a lot of journey legs on his own since he was around 14. And this year, during the COVID times, he's just last week he traveled back to Auroville, and
Okay.
I was super tensed. As a mom, I was super tensed. I was like, is he going to reach? And I got into that mode of spoon feeding, that you do this, then you do this, then you do this. And then he told me, Mama, relax. I know how to do, I know what to
Right, right. And
do.
especially when his first journey happened, I was checking on him on every half an hour, 1 hour, wherever you reached, what happened,
Yeah,
have you
yeah.
taken the cab? But
Yeah.
eventually, now I know he can take care of a lot of these things.
Yes, yeah. So that's okay. We have a question here coming from the viewers. How can we identify interests of a child, as my child is very happy and looking forward child?
All the parents who are putting question, put the age also, please. So if the child is happy, there is obviously no problem. And the younger the kids, they will always seem happier and they'll be willing to do everything, because the younger a child is, the child is always willing to take every kind of experience with him. After eighth standard, whether a child is happy or not becomes a big question, because that's when the pressure, or that's when we start, stopping them from all other activities. So the interest in the initial ages, say till about 10, 11 years of age, you need not even pay too much attention. There are some kids who know very early that this is what they want to do. Some at 13 and 14 also want to get exposed to everything and explore everything, which is perfectly fine. You will start observing when a child is getting more inclined, spending more of his free time towards something, or he's gathering more curiosity, he's trying to research more on certain domain. That's how you find out the interest. Otherwise, if they are okay with taking every kind of exposure, it's perfectly fine. Over the time, they do start leaning on certain things more, and they start leaving certain things away.
Yeah. And also, to add something to this, is many a times when our child takes interest in something, say one something, uh, then we parents start feeling that, oh, my child has found his passion and is going to be at it. How has your experience been around this? Because I know that my children, many of their interests have been short lived for 1 month, 2 months, sometimes 6 months, and then they move over. So, how has your experiences been around this?
Okay, so coming to nature, coming to wildlife, and all these things, Rushiel's interest has never gone down. But when he's free, he at times will not do anything related to animals, related to nature. When he's out, he's full active. But there are times when he does nothing at all, and I'm like, what kind of passion you have? You're sitting free and doing nothing about it. But I also realize that there is this age where they are becoming the youth and they are entering the adulthood. There are so many hormonal changes happening in them that laziness is a hormonal change in them. So, often we think the child is not interested, or uh, probably not doing anything in that domain, but it's just that the kids want to be with themselves, or they are exploring their own self, they are exploring their own growth, they are trying to understand their own body. Secondly, the motivation at 17 and 18 is very low. the only thing they look up to is, connecting with people their age, making more friends, being more with peers, being out, trying to prove themselves. These are the things that happen. So at such times, often they will leave things that they are interested in also. And
Mm.
the things that they are not interested in, and if they leave it, it's all right for me. But more or less in our journey, that has not happened much, because uh, anything and everything related to nature, Rushil has been enjoying. So he keeps going into that very, very frequently.
Mm. Yeah, I think I have learned something new over here, especially with Aditya now being 15. And just as you have shared, there are days when he does nothing. He's just wants to laze and he wants to close his room door and just be with himself. And I keep going and opening the door saying, "Why do you want to close the door?" And but then now I do realize that,
Yes, they
they
need their
need
privacy.
that
Yes.
need that privacy and they need to spend that time with themselves. So your answer, I think this answer has helped me a lot. And we have another question coming up. I have a 12-year school going daughter, not interested in formal studies. We both parents are working. I want to give her such great learning experiences. Homeschooling doesn't seem to be possible. What is the suggestion?
Okay, something that I always believe in is travel learning and nature learning. Whenever you have vacation, have an unplanned travel plan. Have a very raw travel plan where you are living in the villages. You are living with the people who do not have too many facilities. And such things lead to a lot of life skill development, planning what to do next, managing arrangements and luxuries of whatever is happening around you, doing or even living with those who have not been exposed to schools and all, and their kids, because I've always seen the village kids have many more survival skills and many more life skills than what the city kids have. So doing such travel is one big thing. Secondly, in the vacations, for a 12-year-old, it's very easy to put the child into internships. Let the child actually go and work with anybody around your relationships and friends, where the child can be active and be learning, because life skills will only happen in the practical world, in the outside world, where you don't have that pressure of performing and studying and giving exams, but where you are given the problems which you have to solve and come out of it. So, travel learning is something that I love the most, which we do very, very often. I and Rushil travel the most. In a year, at times, plan 6 to 8 tours also. And we go and live with the farmers. We go and live in the most raw facilities where, even going to a washroom is outside and you have to fill the bucket from the well and go to the washroom. We have done all of that. Then I feel those are the best teachers. Another thing is there are many such farms, such animal like Prani also allows internship for children. So there are many such avenues where you can send the child, to be there on the camp and be doing things the way the employees have been doing. I think that's the best.
Yes, definitely. I think travel has been a big addition to our lives too after we started unschooling.
Unschooling.
And
Yeah,
we make it a point to travel every 1 or 2 months. If we know that we've spent, oh, it's been a long time we are at home, we have to just move, and then
right,
we visit, depending on what luxury we want at what particular time. So we are open to any kind of living. Now we
right,
have, though we see ourselves moving towards more rustic, more basic, tours and travels where we don't spend too much and it's budget and we are uh, living with simple means. But
right,
yes, and those have definitely been our biggest teachers to even teach. They have taught me a lot. So apart from travel, I think if your daughter knows what she's interested in. Like I have an unschooling friend's daughter who's around 14, so she loves cooking. So she interned at a hotel which was owned by another friend. Then there's she was also interested in animals, and since they couldn't visit, she was interested in dogs and cats especially. So she
Okay.
started a foster care at her place. So she
Wow.
fosters cats and kittens at home. She goes to a local animal rescue center called Rescue. She does a whole lot of things. So there's nothing stopping you when you know what your
Absolutely.
child is interested in. You can
Absolutely.
find your way. You can find various things that you can do. So amazing. Oh, it's already 4 o'clock. I'm just going to ask our viewers to post any more questions quickly, or else we're going to wind up, because usually we wind up in an hour's time. There
Yes.
is a lot that Mithil can share. There are so many stories, so many experiences that she has had over the past 5 years, since they have opted out of school. You can connect with her, and if you live in Mumbai, especially in the western suburbs, y'all should visit her and be part of her board games club.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. And okay, so with that, I don't see anyone asking any more questions. So we will wind up today's session. Mithal, I'm so happy that I could have you here, and you've really given many pearls of wisdom here. I'm sure many of our viewers are going to benefit and are going to find this helpful. And to the viewers, this is going to be the last Saturday live of 2020. I am traveling next week, so we are not going to have a session next week, and we will come back with many more exciting activities and sessions in the new year, starting January 2021. So happy new year and Merry Christmas, first Christmas, though there is a meme that says that we are going to celebrate Christmas on 8th Jan, as Santa has to be quarantined for 14 days. But that's a joke. So see you all next year, in 2021. Thank you. Thank you. And